Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Punaktu Sahavidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. A few observations about what's happening in this room right now. Number one is that all of you take parenting more seriously than work. Because there's way more people in this room today than when we did Vedanta in the workplace, which is good. We should take our family life seriously. The second is that I'm not a parent. So I'm offering these perspectives as someone who was raised in both the North American culture and Indian culture intimately, and fascinatingly, my parents are in this room right now. And a lot of what I'm going to share from you is I've learned from my own personal life, as well as living at many of your homes as well, and trying to assimilate what we are doing well and what we can do better. And I've also invited our young adults to be part of this workshop too, because they may be parents soon. And the sooner that we have these insights, the sooner we can be happy. If we look around in this room or this whole camp, everyone is smiling. And people thinking about tomorrow are sad because that means we have to get back into our cars and, and go to our respective places. We are happy because of Vedanta. More than anything else, it is because of the teachings of Vedanta, because they make sense to us. And we should be very clear about that. We all have these plans to take up Vedanta when we are older. And the magical age of 60 keeps coming to my mind. That for the first 60 years of my life, I am going to engage in whatever I want. Also called bhoga. 60 years of bhoga. And on my 60th birthday, I am going to wake up early in the morning and I'm going to practice yoga. But after 60 years of bhoga, on that 60th birthday, yoga doesn't come. What comes? Roga. Disease is present. If I eat the way I want to eat for 60 years, what else did I expect other than disease? Roga. And where there is roga, there is rona, as in tears, and viyoga, sorrow, like Prince Arjuna faced. And so, I may not be the only one who is not a parent, or we may be younger parents, older parents, younger grandparents, older grandparents. It doesn't matter. The sooner we have Vedanta, the stronger we become. And we have to change that mindset first. Guruji was telling us, he was on a train in India, and a mother and a young son sat across from him, and that son was misbehaving, so the mother says to the son, "If you don't start behaving, I'm going to send you with him." That's what we think of Vedanta. I was in London, England, a couple of years ago for some talks, and I didn't know anyone there other than the person who had invited me. And though I was teaching chapter 3 of Gita, Tattva-bodha, various texts, repeatedly the most popular question asked to me was, Vivekji, what were you like when you were normal? So, we have to take Vedanta seriously today. Not even today. I'll tell you another proverb. This is a Chinese proverb. When is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. Because then you have the shade and fruit. Next best time? Now. So even if we have grown-up children, doesn't matter. It's the teachings that are important. I'm going to share thoughts on not just the A, B's, and C's of parenting, but the A's, B's, C's, D's, E's, and F's of spiritual parenting. And the way we're going to study this is the A's, B's, and C's is what I have to do. The D's, E's, and F's, we have to do. It's spiritual parenting. Parenting is not one. Parenting is two. If there's only one there for whatever reason, that's fine. But in most cases, it's two. Fair? A. The first A, and this is in sequential order, starting here and moving up. First A of parenting, availability. We have to be available for whatever, I'm not going to specify children, grandchildren, etc. I'm just going to say children. It means everyone. Be available. I listened to a talk by Guruji. He was in Columbus when he said this, I believe. He said, we should be so available for our children that even if they kill someone, the first person they will tell is their parents. Now think logically, why? Because don't we have the best interests in for them? We can guide them to the right place then. But if they go to the wrong place, then it can get much worse then. So being available. And I'll give you one more example of this. I was in a Bhiksha at a Devi group, and all of the Devis were Westerners. And I overheard one of the Western ladies say, I have a policy with my daughter and my daughter's friends that if they're at a party, at a club, or a concert, and there's drinking going on and they don't have a ride home, all they have to do is call me, I will pick them up, no questions asked, take them to their home. What happens at their home is not my responsibility. Their safety, I can be part of. And I was admiring this lady for that. I'm not encouraging that behavior, but I'm encouraging her availability. And I thought, if that was an Indian parent, how would this play out? So yes, I'll come and pick you up. So you go, you pick them up. They come in the door, you lock the door. Why did you do that? I would never have done that, right? And the ripping starts. And it's a natural reaction, but the availability closes down then. The next time they'll think twice before calling and telling the truth. Agreed? And it is a sensitive matter. I'm not saying any of this is easy. I'm simply telling how it needs to be. Guruji has shared, before parents have children, they have many theories on raising children, but no children. Fast forward some years, they have many children, but no theories on raising children, right? So being available, we should remind our children that we're there for them. You can talk to me, I'm your friend. Call them, send them an email, what's on your mind? Just keep reminding them. Because sometimes it's annoying for them, you keep wanting to talk to me. So it shouldn't be so aggressive, but it should be a reminder that I'm here for you. So that when they're in that time of need, I can talk to my parents or grandparents, whoever it may be. I'm going to share some thoughts. At the end, I'll leave time for questions. And if I have answers, I'll share them. If not, then exactly. I'll tell you some jokes then. The B of parenting. And remember, this is just Just a single parent can be available. The second is believe. Believe in your children. I found with many young adults and youth and kids, more now than ever, they're lacking confidence. They're lacking self-esteem. They're lacking a belief in themselves. And without that basic building block, they can't build homes, they can't build lives. We all want to be more confident. Social scientists say the second greatest fear we have is public speaking. And it's because we lack that confidence. And where does confidence get built? At home. Our first guru, one of our chicks was asking me, what is with the sequence of our gurus? Matra Devo Bhava, Pitra Devo Bhava, Acharya, Atithi. The person who teaches us first mostly about our physical well-being is our mothers. How to clean ourselves, how to comb our hair, when to eat. Our mothers have done that. You continue, our fathers teach us how to book a flight, how to ride a bike, how to interact with people, how to deal with bullying. Our guru teaches us what our parents could not have taught us, and that is about the Lord. So each one is passing it on to the next person, like a relay race. And the beauty is the guru then teaches us that Atithi is also God. Titi means appointment. Atithi is someone who comes without appointment. So there are good people who come without appointment. There are bad people who come without appointment. Both are God. So what I'm saying is that a mother and father have to believe in that child. You can do it, not you can't do it. And up until the age of 15, a child's greatest role model is their parents. Whether they're healthy parents or unhealthy parents, that child is looking up, literally looking up to their parents. At the age of 15 or so, these are approximate numbers, it becomes their friends. Their greatest influence is not God or religion, but their friends. So we have to believe in our children. And the way to believe in them, Guruji had already talked about this, is our presence. To take interest in what they're interested in. Concerts, rehearsals, homework. When they're scared at night, being present for them will show them that we believe in them. Often if I say I believe in you but I act otherwise, that means nothing. I am a hypocrite then. But if I show you that I'm present for you, whether I say it or not, yeah, my parents are putting in these resources, time and effort for me, that means I'm worth it then. So we have to be present for them. And especially for our younger families, quality will always supersede quantity. We think that a scale of progression, and I'll highlight America in this case, how many months do you get off? Or I shouldn't even say months. How many weeks do you get off for maternity leave? 6 weeks, right? And this is a progressive nation. Canada at least gets 1 year off. If you fight for it, you can get a year off. That is a more progressive nation. And I'm not even trying to be funny here. It is. Canada is more progressive than America. Really, a mother should be given 3 years off. 3 years. I'll tell you, and this is not coming from Vedanta. I was in a statistics class in business school, and our professor asked 150 people in the room, what is the greatest resource that a nation has? We think gold, technology, weapons. He said people. Who cares about gold, technology, etc. if people aren't there to direct that? And how is a child formed? In those 3 years. Those samskaras. If we study our samskaras, the majority of them fall within that initial time frame. Chudakarna, Karnaveda, Annaprashna, all of that happens. 3 years. And why I'm saying this is many of us go to our dual income strategies. Both parents are working. Why? So we can give our children more opportunities, but then we may not believe in them. We're giving them presents, as Guruji had said, but not presents. One of our students in California, one of our Yuvavirs had asked me, he had told me, his parents have a family business, and so he was saying, I really want to do social work, but there's no money in social work. My parents have this family business, and they want me to do that, and I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And he said, I want to provide for my family. So I posed him this question. If you went to work where you didn't like going, and you came back stressed out, but with this you were able to send your kids to private school, for example. Scenario 1. Versus scenario 2. You love going to work, and you love coming home from work, and your kids can't go to private school, they go to public school. Instead of wearing name brand clothes, they wear no name brand clothes. Who's going to be the better father there? Quality. Quality will be the better father. A child doesn't even know the name brand. We tell them this is a name brand. Do you know how hard I work for you for this? So believe, and believe by being present for them. What was A? B? C is connect. We should connect with our children. And they will be the first people to disconnect you from them. They'll say, hey, you were born in India. What do you know about growing up here? And the bad problem of this is we give up. We say, yeah, maybe they're right. That's wrong. A kid is a kid. It doesn't matter where they grow up. Right? The same fear Arjuna suffered from, we suffer from the same. He suffered from a chariot. We suffer from a car. What difference does it make? It's still fear. We have to connect with our kids. And I was sharing with some parents earlier, they cornered me into a special parenting session yesterday. They didn't let me escape. So here's what I had told them. I fly Southwest a lot, and I just browsed through their magazine. There's an article on how youth, as children become older, they become youth, and they drift apart from their parents. Happens? This is why even in Balavihar, what is the least attended class? Our high school classes. They drift. The more mature party has to adapt more. No different than if I'm a basketball player and I'm more flexible, I have to adapt the ball in my position more than the person who's not. In this case, it would be a parent compared to a child towards a youth. And what this means is that a parent has to come down to the level of a youth because we were youth once too. But a youth was never an adult. So they don't know what it means to truly look after a mortgage. Do they know what the value of money is really? Even the money they've given has been given to them, and if they're working for minimum wage. Do they know what the value of money is? And they can't know till they live away from home, etc., etc. It's not their fault. They just don't have those opportunities. So the parent has to find a way to relate to their youth. And once you get your foot in the door, then you can keep opening the door further. Some of our Balavihar teachers in high school, they are intimidated by those high school students. And so some of the strategies I've given them is spend 10 minutes of each class just being cool with them. If they love football, talk about football. If they love movies, talk about movies. Because what will happen is for 50 minutes, you'll have their ears then. But if you can't connect for them in those 10 minutes, they're gone then. See, once I put my foot in the door, I can keep on opening the door further. I'm still in their radar then. But if I can't connect to them, I'm out of their radar. And this has to be an active process. A family that prays together does what? Just because people live in the same building, does that make them a family? If we have to email each other how we're feeling, does that mean we're beside each other, but we're emailing each other? This is the expression of Kali Yuga, is I can communicate with thousands, but not connect with a single person. Isn't it true in Kali Yuga? A family that learns together grows together. So we have to learn together. That's an active process. Active meaning I will go out of my way to try to connect with my child, not just sit in the same room as them. I'm spending quality time with my child, even though we're just both watching TV and not talking. See, that's passive. It has to be active. Be available, believe, connect. That is what a parent can do. Now what both parents have to do. This is now where we shift to D, E, and F. D is dedicate. We have to dedicate ourselves to raising those children. We often condone teenage pregnancies, right? We don't want them to happen. Why? You're 13 years old, as an example. You can barely look after yourself, and now you brought another child into this world? Now 2 people don't know how to look after themselves. There's a Sanskrit subhashitam. Subhashitam means word of wisdom. That parent which brings a child into the world without giving them samskaras is an enemy to that child. Because they brought a child into the world but didn't give them the tools to face the challenges. Is there anyone in this room that's not faced a problem before or a challenge? We all have. Some of you are none of you are in the Vedanta in spirituality talk that I gave, right? Good, I can use the same jokes then. At the end of each of our discussions, we do total thoughts in our various study groups. Each person has to speak about what they learned, or a question, or a comment. Because we encourage that overcoming of fear of public speaking. So one lady's saying, my knee hurts, and my grandchildren don't come to visit me, and everything is so expensive now. And she's literally looking up and saying, why me? And then there's a gentleman next to her, and I'm waiting, because I know this man is a feisty man. I'm waiting for him to respond to this. And he goes, why not you? What makes you special that you shouldn't have problems? Right? We all have our problems. We all have our challenges. So we need tools to face them. Otherwise we get beat up again and again and again. If we dedicate ourselves to raising our children, we will give them the right tools. And dedication is associated with sacrifice. Yajna, correct? That's the word that Gurudev often uses, Lord Krishna uses. Yajna. Yajna we interpret as sacrifice, but that's not accurate. What comes first? And I asked this in Alpharetta. Dedication or sacrifice? How many of you, by show of hands, say sacrifice comes before dedication? Dedication before sacrifice? How many of you are confused? Dedication pulls sacrifice. I will not sacrifice anything unless I have a reason to sacrifice. When a mother knows that she has a child in her being, sacrifice comes naturally then. If Swami Chinmaya was sitting here and we said, Gurudev, you've sacrificed so much for us, he would say, what sacrifice? I've gained everything. Conversely, he would say, we are Mahatyagis. We've given up happiness for whatever else we're pursuing. That's what he would say to us. So when we are dedicated, we stop crying, we stop criticizing, we stop complaining, because that sacrifice is natural. I'm dedicated to what comes with being a parent. Now, what are some of the virtues we learn with being a parent? I'll only highlight one. There's so many. Behind where Guruji sits, what does it say in the top in letters? Our chicks are all gone. What does it say? Mahasamadhi Camp 2013. What I see every time is Mahasama. Sama means equal, even. And not just regular equality, but Maha. We have to be totally even-minded. When our children insult us, even-minded. When they praise us, even-minded. When they buy us gifts, even-minded. When they don't, when they fail their test, even-minded. When they excel and they get into the best school, even-minded. When they get into a relationship we like, even-minded. When they get into a relationship we don't like, even-minded. Mahasama, not just sama. But that will only come if I'm dedicated and realizing that having a child is training. I know it sounds like a very business workshop word, but it is. It is training on invoking virtues. Marriage is the same way. It is training on how to be more sacrificing, more silent, more giving, more accommodating, etc., etc. And in the context of Bhagavad Gita, it's called Nishiyama Karma. We all want to be enlightened, and we think we're going to go from here to here. I had a batchmate who had a very difficult time waking up in the morning. Okay, this is at Sandipani. So I walk into his room. This is almost 2 years into the course, and he has a bucket of water in his bedroom. And I asked him, why do you have this water here? Because at Sandipani we have 2 showers and then 2 Western toilets and an Indian toilet. Again, I don't know why I'm giving you such details, but I'm telling you. And so we don't need to save water, right? We take showers or bucket baths or whatever. And he's a very sincere person. He tells me, I find it difficult to wake up in the morning. 4 a.m. is when the bell goes. Even after 2 years, he says, yes. So why the water? Because as soon as I hear that bell, I roll over and put my head in the water. And then he gets up. And I appreciated his intelligence. Swami Vivekananda says, arise and then awake. See, a lot of us, we wake up and then we roll off the bed and then sit for meditation. Our altar is right there. Right? That's what we do, right? I'm going to be as fast as possible, back to sleep. That's what actually happens. We have to wake up. Sleep is tamas. Rajas we have to get to, then sattva. We can't jump to that sattva. I've heard of 2 very special alarm clocks. Many of you may have these alarm clocks. One is, the alarm clock is on wheels. On legs. So as soon as it goes off, it runs off your table and you have to chase it to shut it off. And for the even stronger Kumbhakarna, it's in the form of puzzle pieces. So when it goes off, the puzzle pieces blow up everywhere. And you have to put all the pieces together before you can shut it off. And hopefully we're awake by that time. So what Lord Krishna is teaching us is right now what we are doing is sakama karma. All of our actions are for our own self-interest, selfishly. We live selfishly. And how do we know this? Guruji already talked about this. Which name do we like to hear the most? Our own name. Which form do we like to see the most? Who is the most beautiful person we know? If your spouse, you may be saying your spouse, but you know, it's ourselves. We cannot stop thinking about ourselves. I heard the most beautiful definition of humility. It is not thinking less of oneself, it is thinking of oneself less. Very profound statement. And the only way I will think of myself less, stop thinking about myself, if I start thinking about you. If I have a diya sitting on my desk here, and a child walks in, I say, don't look at that diya. Don't touch that diya. What is that child doing? Slowly crawling forward here to touch that diya. We all have a child in our minds too. Whatever we tell the mind not to do, it does more intelligently then. In the movie Inception, Arthur tells Sato, don't think of elephants. Then he asks him, what are you thinking of, right? Elephants. We are lost in sakama, selfish actions. So what to do? Get involved in selfless actions. Now, selfless actions is not just about building toilets and going to the soup kitchen and donating blood. We love the flashiness that comes with service. I went to Costa Rica, I went to Ecuador, I went to Nicaragua, and I built this many shelters. Guruji has taught what the great service we can do to the world. Mind your mind and mind your own business. Let's raise our children well and not compare them to other children. Good service that we're doing. That's it. Nishiyama Karma towards my own children. And I have to be dedicated towards that. Then that will create Chitta Shuddhi, purity of mind. Where there's Chitta Shuddhi, there's Tyaga, renunciation of sorrow. But I can't go to renunciation of sorrow without going through Chitta Shuddhi, without going through Nishiyama Karma, which means selfless actions. D, both parents have to be with this vision. This is our responsibility. This is our dharma. And if I don't dedicate myself to the welfare of my children, that is adharmic then. I am an enemy then. I was in Pittsburgh once, and I was teaching some kids, and I had asked them, who are your enemies? And what I was trying to get them to say was Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha. One girl puts her hand up, Priya, Deepa, Joseph. She starts naming all of these people. We should teach them to not have outer enemies.
I thought
E.
they were going to say parents.
Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. Some parents are enemies if they don't help them deal with their inner enemies. In that regard, you're all doing very well to bring your children here. This is solid family time. What's a good family vacation? Safety, number 1. Food, number 2. So both check. 3 is a smile. And all of those are checks here. Everyone is safe, everyone is eating too much, and everyone is smiling. E. E is empathize. Empathize. Practice empathy. When it comes to parenting, what happens in the bedroom, meaning those arguments, let them be there in front of the child, united front. Even at the youth empowerment program, Swami Sarveshananda and I are the directors of Chick West. And we meet each night and we ensure that we're both on the same page with what our front is for the students. And that's why everything is going well, because we don't have differing beliefs that it should be done like this or it should be done like that. And so the students have a more wholesome development program then. If a parent says yes and another parent says no, it's confusing for the parents, it's confusing, there's just total confusion then. So that empathy, that I should try to, hey, what will my spouse feel about this? And what would I feel about this? And often if we can't feel it out, we should engage in dialogue. One of our mission families, they weren't getting along too well. They have only one child, so they all went to see a counselor. And because I know the whole family well, including this child, we sat down afterwards and I asked them, what did the counselor tell you? And the counselor was sharing that most of their discussions, and I think this is typical of most Indian families, are objective. Did you do your homework? We're going here. We have to plan for India. We have to pack. How are your grades? Etc., etc. Very objective. No different than if a third party came in and asked the same questions, they would be able to fill that role. The counselor is saying is start having subjective discussions. How are you? What are your dreams like? What are you scared of? Are you happy? Those deeper discussions. There was a study done at Northwestern. People who talk about the weather, politics, sports, etc., versus people who talk about life and challenges and philosophy, those people are less happy, meaning the people who talk about sports, politics, weather. So even at a purely secular level, there is empirical evidence, by connecting at a subjective level, we are happier then. We have to engage in this dialogue. Every one of our scriptures is a dialogue, isn't it? Lord Shiva talking to Mother Parvati, Ramayana. Lord Krishna and Prince Arjuna, Gita. Bhagavatam, all of the sages that are talking. Guru Gita, also another dialogue. When was the last time we had a conversation with our kids about these subjective matters? When was the last time we had a conversation with our spouse and asked them, are you happy? When was the last time we picked up the phone and called our parents and said, what are your dreams? When was the last time we had a conversation with God and said, hey, how are you? At the end of our chick retreats, everyone gets a cue card and an envelope. And in that they offer their Guru Dakshina and a note to the Acharya. And I remember the one note that I had received. A girl had written, Hariom Vivekji, how are you? I'm sure nobody asks how you are and everyone just tells you their problems. Isn't that our relationship with God? See the subjective discussions. And at a very practical way, how to practice empathy, we should learn to listen. See, you already know it. Every one of you said, we should listen more. Why we don't listen is because that ego is there. I love to hear my own words the most. You're all thinking, yeah, you can't stop talking in the mic right now. To listen. Bhagavan Ganesha has 2 huge ears and a small mouth. And those ears are compared to a chimney, a sieve. And the idea is that he filters out all of the negativity and only allows that which is positive to come in. So us too, we should listen to what our spouse is saying, to what our children are saying, to what our parents are saying, etc. Listen. A, B, C, E, E, D, and F. And this is the point that the people in this room should know the most but practice the least. Have faith. Have faith. Most of you have had your children in Balavihar and Chik for some people I heard decades. Some people have grown up their whole lives in this teaching, in this satsang. And even those who have only been exposed to this for a little while, it's potent, isn't it? Even at one camp is potent. Have faith. The sixth samskara is called Nishkramana. When a child is 4 months old, an infant is 4 months old, that father, on an auspicious day, takes the child to the temple for the first time. And the Vedic mantras are chanted. And the father shows the child either Mother Parvati and Lord Shiva or Bhagavan Rama and Mother Sita. It doesn't matter who. And the message is twofold. To the child, the message is, these are your parents. Your only purpose in life is find your parents. And the message to the parents is, this is not your child. This is my child, Bhagavan's child. You are a custodian, you are a caretaker, you're someone to look after their welfare, but this is not your child. And think about, if I can understand and appreciate this, how different my vision would be. I would never be attached to that child. I would be completely loving to that child with no expectations. Imagine Guruji gave you his kurta to travel. He's going to your center and he gave you his kurta. Would we mix it up with our stuff? We would take such good care and never be attached to it because we know, hey, this is not mine. Correct? God has done the same with an actual being. And if I can keep that in my heart, then my hands and head would operate in the same way. Another beautiful samskara, a traditional Vedic marriage, the 13th Samskara, is called Vivaha. The beauty of the word Vivaha is it's synonymous with dharma. It means that which uplifts, that which nourishes, that which integrates, that which upholds. They're the same words. In Vivaha, at the end of the ceremony, and it lasts 3 days. You're all thinking, our weddings last 2 weeks. 3 days of rituals. Our rituals last half an hour. We pay more. Hey, finish it faster. We need to keep going. 3 days of rituals. And at the end, everyone in the audience bows down to that new couple. Because it is not a male and a female or whatever combination that is married. but it is Lakshmi and Narayana. And if every Narayana remembered his wife is Lakshmi and every Lakshmi remembered her husband is Narayana, what selfishness would there be? Wouldn't we encourage them to pursue their hobbies and what helps them then? My wife is in this room too, so I'm going to make this point. She didn't tell me to say this, but good for me for saying it. When Sheila had come to our house for the first time, then everyone was saying, Lakshmi's come home, Lakshmi's come home. And hey, what about Narayana? You forgot already? And so one person had said, because Narayana was always there. So I felt good about myself. But my point here is that these are Gurudev's children. This is Bhagavan Shiva's son, Mother Parvati's daughter, etc., etc. Have faith in the Creator to look after his or her creation. We assume too much doership, and with that a lot of negativities come wherever the ego is present. We know that. But for some reason we forget it when it comes to parenting. But it's there. And it hurts us and it hurts them then. Let go. I saw a beautiful quote on Facebook that said, only when we let go can we let God. Exactly. And humorously, on Facebook also I saw, there's a picture of Michael Phelps. He's that American athlete. And he had all of his medals on, 19 gold medals or whatever. And underneath, they had pictures of Indians at weddings, and it said, we have more gold. Have faith. All of you are taking Vedanta seriously, just like how we began today's workshop. Have faith. Everyone will be much more lighthearted then. Fair? Okay. So I've shared thoughts for approximately 45 minutes. If anyone has any questions, I'm sure there are lots. I'll try to answer whatever ones I can. Yes?
What is the cutoff age for parenting?
What is the cutoff age for parenting? Tired already?
When do we retire from parenting, right?
The question was, what is the cutoff age for parenting? It's a smart question. It's smart. In our Shastras, and what our sages say, you have two options when parenting ends. The day you turn 60, or the day you see the face of your grandchild, is the day you have to move to the vana. You have to start living in the forest. Okay? Now, you and I cannot live in the forest for two reasons. Number one, we're not strong enough to live in the forest. Okay, we're not strong enough or smart enough to live in the forest. Number two, it's probably illegal. So what it means to be a vanaprastha, and your question is related to what I'm about to say. The gauge or the expression of vanaprastha is non-indulgence and non-interference. Non-indulgence means my eyes are not on the world and enjoying the world, but my eyes are on Him. There's a beautiful way to remember this. As a brahmachari, as a student, one's only focus is me. If you go to the University of Michigan or Michigan State and go to their dormitories, their residences, go to their rooms and see where their focus is. Just themselves. The way they live, right? Their condition of their room, eating habits, there's no concern. In the second ashrama of life, it becomes not me, but we. I have to be concerned with another person, and not a person, a whole family. In the third ashrama, and this is all an evolution, it is not me, it is not we, but it is he. A vanaprastha's focus should be on him. That's where the non-indulgence comes in. No more bhoga. Now is time for yoga. Who knows when the last breath will come out. And only if we focus on he do we go to the fourth, where it's not me, we, or he, but it is be. Just be, as Guruji and Ramana Maharshi are are sharing. So non-indulgence and non-interference. Let parents be parents. But often grandparents have not learned to let go of their kids. They're not kids anymore, they're adults. Why am I saying kids? And grandkids. We should practice full detachment with our elderly kids and our grandkids as grandparents. We should enjoy all of the benefit of being there, but no negativity. Let the parents deal with the challenges that come with raising a child. So non-indulgence, non-interference, 60 years, or the day you see your face of your first grandchild. So I'll take one from this section now. In the back, nice and loud.
What's your views about the evolution of unitary family and its reversal to extended family in multi-generation, which I practically see in America right now?
I am a strong advocate of living with multiple generations in one home. The more people you live with, the more that ego gets rubbed out. If I live by myself, I am always right. There's no one to tell me I'm wrong. There's no one to tell me that I should care for them. But if I live with many people, say a spouse and then children, grandparents, and so on and so forth, then I have many variables that I need to account for. And in America, we are devolving. In the West, not India's the same way now. Why am I saying America? We are devolving in that regard. And it's difficult because our lives are determined by our careers. And our careers are gauged because we have so many wants. Our wants are there because we feel so incomplete. If we felt more complete, we wouldn't have so many wants, so we didn't have to work so much. And because everyone's working, we can't look after our elderly parents then. So what to do? Put them in a home. And when they come here, they're totally bound. There's no independence for elderly parents here. It's a driving-based society, right? But in India, they can walk and go shopping and all of that. Which is why it's important to have more people at home. And that should all be an opportunity for everyone to practice Nishiyama Karma. Sheila and I just stayed with a family where the grandparents live with the son and daughter. They're married, not that they're separate families. They're both physicians, so naturally they're quite busy. And they have two young grandchildren. One is 6 and one is 2. That boy is so cheerful all the time. He's our Balavihara student. So cheerful. He started chanting mantras I don't know. And I'm not saying I know the most, but for a 6-year-old to know more, I was so happy. And I was like, his parents don't know any of this. I know his parents don't know any. And I was telling Sheila, this boy knows all of this because of his grandparents. This boy will not go to sleep unless his grandfather tells him 2 stories a night. Which parent has time for their children right now? Which is why Balavihara is so big. We're consultants. So I would encourage as many family people to live together because it's a potent way to rub out that ego, but it requires a lot of love and high thinking. Otherwise, it's only bickering. And so in bickering, let's just all move to our own places. And it'll work for one generation, but the next generation will suffer then. And that chain will become weaker and weaker and weaker. And for those who are not agreeing with me, that's fine. We're all entitled to our own opinions. He asked me for my opinion. I only ask you to think about this. Prayas, short term. It is much easier to take 5 cups of payasam because I want it. That's prayas. Shreyas is long term. I'll eat 1 cup today and 1 cup tomorrow. And the benefit is I can eat payasam my whole life. But if I eat 5 cups every day, 6 months from now I'll have diabetes and I'll never be able to eat it again. So Shreyas is thinking long term. Yes?
I just want to add one more thing what you were saying. Probably it is Chanakya Niti or Subhashitam. You can give the meaning for it. Rajavat Panchavarshani, Dasavarshani Mahasamadhi. Prapte Shodashe Varshe, Putram or Putri Mitravat Acharet. You can tell me.
Sure. What Uncle G is saying is, from 0 to 5, you should give your child everything. Yes, the question was, my apologies. He said a subhashitam, some words of wisdom in Sanskrit. So I'm translating in English what is being said. From 0 to 5, when a child is 0 to 5 years old, give them everything. And I love making the second comment when there's kids of this age, because they get so frightened. From 5 to 10, give them nothing. 5 to 15, give them nothing but discipline, direction. And after 15, who are we to them? Their friend, as I've already mentioned. So 0 to 5, everything. 5 to 15, direction, which often means discipline, but they still live in your home. They're still under your control. They don't know what's best for them. At 15, they start to believe they know what's best for them, and we can't change that. Let's be their friend and guide them accordingly then. Yes, the gentleman in the back.
I have a clarification on what you have said. You have talked about two different things. For example, you have said when they're teenage years, they don't have as much experience as the parents. You should come down and talk to them and say, well, so it's possible that when you are talking about the principle of non-interference, even though
That was for a grandparent, I had said. Grandparents, I said non-interference, correct?
Yes.
Parents, I never said non-interference.
but between the ages of 18 and let's say 30, before the time they would have that, the parents are still in an advisory role at that point. Be as a friend, but at least you have more experience than the teenagers and the youth. So the issue really is you can advise them or suggest things to them, but if they don't follow up, at that point in time, you cannot really feel that they are not obeying you. So you still have the responsibility to be able to convey to them your experience and your knowledge as an advisor and as a friend. But if you don't do that, perhaps you're not doing the duty as a parent to make them aware of this. So I just wanted to get your...
Sure. So the gentleman in the back had shared is more of what a role is when a child is between the ages of 15 and 30. And he was saying that we still have to advise them. So we have to define friend first then. Our concept of friend is someone who is friendly. A friend is not someone who is friendly. A friend is someone who is dependable. They may be very harsh outside, but dependable. When help is needed, they're there. Number one. Another definition of a friend, again, not someone who's friendly, but someone who helps us grow. Someone who will challenge us, tell us to be better, tell us if we're making a mistake. But the beauty of a friend is they will advise, like you said, but they're not attached. What a good friend will do is they will not be attached. They will do their part, and then they will let go. That's where we lack. When they don't do it, we start to fall apart. Then they start to fall apart, and it's an unhealthy atmosphere then. Nothing justifies our tears. Bhagavan Krishna has said over and over and over again, Na tvam shochitum arhasi. You don't deserve to grieve. This is Prince Arjuna with much grander implications. He's saying you don't deserve to grieve. If whatever happens to our children, it doesn't deserve our tears. And I'm saying that only if we've done our part. Do your best and leave the rest in all circumstances. Not just sports or work, at home too. When a child goes away to university, do we control their diet? Suppose they're raised as vegetarians at home. What did you eat today? Right? They can say whatever they want. Where were you last night? Go to sleep. Right? We stay up all night waiting for them to come. Sleep well. You see my point? And last question. Are you husband and wife?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine.
You have spoken about connecting with them. So the thought occurred to me that sometimes the child may be in your house, but maybe not talking. There's no communication going on. Or you may find you have a child in college who really wants to call and share everything. So our opportunity while they're younger is to make sure we have that end goal of the communicating. What else can those parents who have, like maybe, have that communicative side.
So the question is, how do we encourage proper communication as they get older too? Start young. Have, ideally, when one family or a child is very young, have one meal a day together. Breakfast is best, or dinner. Lunch is probably not possible. Have a meal together every day where everyone's together, face to face, and chat about whatever. That habit is developed then. Have road trips. Our family would go on road trips often. We drive to Florida or drive to Cleveland or wherever. And the beauty of that is you can't escape. So all of those tender matters that are easily, I'm busy, I have homework, or I'm going to a friend's house, or I'm tired, you can't do any of that. So, and the parents keep on talking, so you finally have to talk to them. Let's just get this over with. But that's smart. I'm saying it's smart. Do go on road trips. And they'll remember that as they get older. We learned so much about each other during that time. So what I'm saying is, create these habits now. And ideally, yesterday someone had asked, my kids fight all the time. They're always punching each other and giving name calling. Good. That means they're learning, about forgiveness and letting go and all that. Totally good. As they get older, if they stay connected with each other, that's ideal. Because one will always be a little bit more mature than the other. And they'll have that friendship and parenting and all of that will be mixed up together. So if we can encourage siblings to mix readily too, to have the same interests and friends and all of that, they become like a spy parent then. You can tell one thing to an older child and then they'll convey that to their other child, like that. Good luck. Like Balavihar teachers are taught, Balavihar is not for the students, but for the... Parenting is not for the kids, but for the... For the parents. Someone said kids. Parenting is not for the kids, it's for us. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah.